Good afternoon, Mavericks, and thank you for tuning in to our first ever State of the University conversation with Interim President Tech Lim. I'm Jay Horn, and I'm Executive Director for the Office of International Education here at UTA. But today, I'm serving as moderator for this conversation with Dr. Lim. It's been one of the most unusual years in the history of UT Arlington and a most unusual first 7 months on the job for Dr. Lim. Dr. Lim took over as UTA's leader in mid-March, right in the midst of a spreading pandemic, and just as UTA was beginning to pivot to an online-only modality for students and employees. Since then, Dr. Lim has overseen a number of critical changes. We've had the return to campus for fall, there's been record freshman enrollment, virtual commencement celebrations, and the entire university pulling together to make all of this work. Today, we're going to talk about some of those changes and what we might expect for the future. Dr. Lim, thank you for your time today.
Jay, it is my pleasure to be here today, and I'm honored and humbled to have the opportunity to serve as the interim president of this great institution.
Great. So to get us started, let's talk a little bit about your transition as you assume duties as UTA's chief executive very early into the pandemic. During your time as interim president, what do you plan to focus on?
I'm laser focused on 3 goals. First, successfully navigate UTA through the pandemic. So what does that mean? That means we focus on ensuring students continue to learn and the attainment of their degrees is not delayed. Second, continue to emphasize on the collective vision of UTA community that supports student success and research excellence. So we remain a welcoming place for students from all demographics who can come here and be successful while simultaneously also pursuing Texas Tier 1 status. And finally, third, enhance our external engagement to strengthen existing and new partnership with alumni, with corporation, nonprofit organization, and of course, our elected officials. To support that activity, we brought back former President Jim Spagnuolo, whom you know well, Jay, to serve as a senior advisor for external engagement. You know why? Because his in-depth experience working and connecting with external stakeholders is something that can help us.
So you mentioned the importance of getting through the pandemic, guiding UTA through the pandemic. So can you talk to us a little bit about what it's been for the last 7 months? I mean, how has that been for you leading UTA through the pandemic?
From the beginning, our UT system leadership say they were impressed by our planning. We encourage widespread use of masks, we minimize campus presence without slowing down our mission, and of course, proactive testing of higher-risk students. This is indeed a true testament of our spirit of community and teamwork. As Mavericks, we pulled together and we took this challenge very, very seriously. Our faculty and staff, within a very short period of time, pivoted to learning virtually. This is a migration of epic proportion, affecting most people globally. But I must say that the depth of our experience in online learning before the pandemic make this transition for us easier and much more effective.
There must have been some challenges, though. So what do you think have been some of the biggest challenges?
Well, no question, Jay. The logistic of pivoting primarily in person to primarily online over a very short period of time are challenging. That includes, for example, rethinking the physical space, accommodating our on-campus residents, coaching faculty who are less familiar with distance learning. As you know, UTA was up to task because, as I noted earlier, the depth of our online capabilities that was developed over a decade really make it easier for us as compared to other more traditional higher education institutions. Also, I cannot say enough about our students. They are just fantastic, and how seriously they take this situation and how closely they have followed our new protocols. Faculty are also telling me that student engagement have gone way up in many cases, and the pace of degree attainment has not been impacted as evident from our another year of record uh, number of degrees and certificates conferred this past academic year. That is over 14,300. So, Jay, let me also stress that the focus has remained on our students. They're facing new challenges every day and pursuing their education in unprecedented circumstances. We have to make sure that they are on track, they're successful, they're emotionally healthy, and be able to gain the education of the mind and the heart that they came here for. In fact, I don't think these are called challenges. They are really opportunities for our faculty, for our staff, for our students to learn to adapt and succeed as we launch into a new normal for higher ed.
So, Dr. Lim, what are the biggest lessons that you've learned throughout all this?
First and foremost, I am totally humbled by having to lead UTA for the last 7 months. That is in the presence of a global pandemic, an unprecedented nationwide struggle against racial injustice, and of course, obviously, a leadership transition. However, I believe that there's no challenge that's too big because we are surrounded by smart, dedicated people like yourself who came together to deliver education in a new way that rely more on digital tools. We learned that there are other modalities using technology to deliver content more effectively. In fact, our Center for Research on Teaching and Learning Excellence conducted thousands of hours of training, many one-on-one, to enable faculty to be able to refine their online teaching skills. When we return to normal, not the normal before pandemic, but the new normal, I am convinced that we will have significant higher use of digital technology in teaching, in learning, and in conducting research. This is going to be the new, what I call, e-learning environment.
Well, we did get some really good news. We just enrolled our largest freshman class in the history of UTA right in the middle of a pandemic. So, how did that happen?
Well, glad you asked that question, Jay. Enrollment management laid the groundwork prior to the pandemic. We were actually well on our way to attract more freshmen, with or without the pandemic. You know what, Jay? Students want what UTA has to offer. We are affordable, we're in a great location. Arlington is a college town nestled in a booming metroplex. Who wouldn't like that? We offer high quality programs, we have world class faculty, and we have a proven track record of preparing students for great careers. So these are all ideal conditions for freshmen to come here and to be able to flourish successfully.
So, we also just set records for numbers of degrees conferred in a year, academic year, as you mentioned earlier. So, what kind of plans do you have for helping us sustain that momentum?
Well, like they say in basketball, keep playing to our strengths. We also need to boast about all the factors I mentioned just now. You know, we are just as good as anyone in Texas at offering an accessible education that prepare our graduates for jobs successfully. We have strong programs in nursing, engineering, business, and liberal arts, with outstanding programs in education, CAPA, social work, and then not to mention the cutting edge research in the College of Science.
You were mentioning earlier about the pursuit of Texas Tier 1 status. So, what would that really mean for us? What would that mean for UTA?
Jay, that is actually a very good question. It is many things. It is the validation of the quality of our students, programs, and faculty. It will help us recruit top faculty as well. I'm also convinced that it will increase our reputation significantly. It puts us in the company of UT Austin, Texas A&M, UT Dallas, Texas Tech, and Houston, all, as you know, excellent institutions. And it will attract more research funding due to UT Arlington.
So, yes, we have seen already significant growth in our research efforts. So, what do you feel like is fueling that growth?
Of course, it is the outstanding faculty, students, program, and infrastructure we have at UT Arlington. As you know, our growing reputation has enabled us to attract and retain outstanding faculty. For instance, we have 7 National Academy members. We're home to one of the largest member concentration of the National Academy of Inventors. We have leading edge research in physics, in engineering, genome, health, packaging, history, and many other excellent fields. In fact, a lot of our human health related research is fueled by the new science and engineering innovation and research building. And we are breaking ground very, very soon on a new School of Social Work and Nursing Smart Hospital facility that will have a strong emphasis on research.
So let's shift gears just a bit. So during the summer and the spring, we witnessed our country beginning to really seriously address racism and inequity. And over the summer, you promised some concrete action to promote a more diverse and inclusive UTA. So, where do those initiatives stand now?
So, Jay, I believe a campus community that is diverse and that can effectively work and embraces the kind of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives that we do is really a hallmark of a successful, mature institution. Hence, I'm fully committed to our 8 DEI goals announced back in July. I have been actually very pleased with the broad collaboration and commitments of the UTA community. Firstly, we have formed a DEI committee co-chaired by Deborah Woody and Michelle Bobadilla. This is the largest committee on campus with diverse representation from student government, as well as faculty and staff from colleges, schools, and divisions across campus. The committee will make recommendations to university leadership, including our deans and vice presidents, about how UTA can foster a more diverse and inclusive campus. Also, we have launched a national search for a new vice president for diversity, equity, and inclusion. That search will be chaired by former President Jim Spagnola. We have also designated an additional $25 million in scholarship to address student diversity and especially the financial concern of first generation college students. Jay, as you know, I myself was a first gen student, and therefore I'm very passionate about this topic. Moving forward, working collaboratively with Leadership Council, deans, and faculty, we are developing additional programming to support all of our DEI goals. Now, even though we have made significant progress, I must humbly admit that there is still a lot more for us to do. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. And I know we are committed for the long haul.
Are students getting a chance to give input on this? Or what about faculty and staff? Are they involved in this process?
Yes, of course. As I mentioned, we have brought students, faculty, and staff representation in the DEI committee. In the early days of this initiative, we have held many listening sessions. I've actually personally received many constructive emails and conversed with many students, faculty, and staff. So moving forward, I welcome input anytime. The UTA community is encouraged to reach out to the DI committee through their representatives or directly to the co-chairs. Students can bring concerns to their student government, and faculty and staff can also offer input through their deans and department chair, and as well as faculty senate and staff advisory council. So you can see there's ample of opportunity for people to get involved and provide input.
Great. So as we're looking forward, there's a lot of talk right now about, well, not just at UTA, but also in higher education about the ways we're going to teach and learn in the future. So how has our response to the pandemic affected that in any way? I mean, about the way that UTA might be moving forward.
Great question, Jay. Clearly, without doubt, the COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the digital evolution in teaching, learning, and research in academia. Clearly. When I left the private sector and joined academia, about, 24 years ago, I noticed that academics operate on a geological timescale. That is really not all bad, since students will have difficulty completing their degrees if the environment changes too often. Hence, academic institutions tend to evolve over a long period of time, thoughtfully, mindfully, with lots of empathy, and innovatively as well. But once in a while, we see a more rapid pace, and I think what is happening today is one of those times. Faculty and staff have demonstrated over a very short period of time in this past few months the ability to and desire to learn new digital tools to accomplish that work. In the new normal, post-pandemic, I think we will have higher percentage of our courses as compared to pre-pandemic that are taught in hybrid and all fully online modality. Also, the act of teaching and learning can happen almost anywhere, on or off campus. And this capability is really offering a lot of flexibility. Hence, our ability to deliver educational content is limitless, not bounded by time and location anymore. In some of our supporting operations, Jay, we found out that people can be very productive working remotely. Hence, some of our back office staff may continue to work remotely and only have to come to campus occasionally. So, Jay, the pandemic really has shifted the normal and things have changed probably permanently in some cases.
Well, we're all looking forward to a day that the pandemic is behind us. So, how do you see the future of teaching and learning at UTA once this is all gone? I mean, you talked earlier about innovation and excellence in e-learning. Can you talk us a little bit more about that?
So e-learning, including distance learning, will play a great role. UTA is certainly well positioned to adapt to this new normal. Jay, as I mentioned just now, the pandemic basically accelerated our transformation into an e-learning environment, relying on heavy use of digital technology in teaching, in learning, and in research. Here's what I predict will happen. Classroom setting where students sit in rows of chairs and desks will soon become a thing of the past, like chalkboard. Remember chalkboard? Instead of students will come to campus to collaborate. They will come to campus to learn from engagement with peers and faculty. They'll come to campus immersed in all types of experiential, both virtual and in-person learning. So here's what I think will happen. A 3-credit hour class right now is typically 3 hours of lectures per week. For example, it could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. In the new normal, in this new paradigm shift, the learning will occur in many, many other forms. There'll be collaboration, it'll be experiential learning, online lectures, and many, many other varieties, but still equating to a 3-credit hour effort.
So when you're thinking about the last 7 months, what really stands out to you? What are you proud of?
So Jay, I am amazed how UTA community has adapted and continues to thrive. So I see so many selfless, heroic acts to help our students and to ensure they continue to be successful. For that, I'm very appreciative. Our campus came together laser focused on attaining Texas Tier 1 by setting new record in doctoral degrees attainment and externally funded research, in spite of having to do this under very challenging circumstances, something called the pandemic. Finally, let me say that the UTA community is very resilient, innovative, and very entrepreneurial. This great institution is bigger than any one person. In spite of the many challenges, Jay, I think you would agree, I believe the future of this university is bright, and we are on a great trajectory.
I have to agree, Tech. We are on a great trajectory. Well, thank you so much for your time today and for talking with us.
Well, thank you, Jay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And for the Maverick community watching today, you can send us feedback on today's State of the University presentation by emailing us at utacommunications@uta.edu. We would appreciate your feedback. You can also email the Office of the President directly at president@uta.edu. We thank you again for viewing our State of the University conversation. And remember to mask up, stay safe, and go Mavs.